For more than 2,000 years, the Tao Te Ching by laozi has inspired people to seek wisdom, balance, and peace. But what exactly is the Tao, and how can we live in harmony with it in our daily lives? In today's society and this fast-paced modern world, filled with stress and constant change, the wisdom of Tao Te Ching reminds us to slow down, embrace simplicity, and find strength in being flexible with what life throws at us. Hey all, I'm Atlas, and today we're taking a look at a book I've spent the last month reading, or at least attempting to. Since I joined PewDiePie's book club, I decided to take a real learning approach to reading. Today we break down some of the key ideas of this 2,000-year-old wisdomonious wizard text, and explore how its lessons can help us find a balance in our life by making it a more peaceful, intentional, and harmonious existence. I only focus on a couple concepts here and would recommend that others explore the text, as they may also find meaning behind its words. The goal of this series is to explore the books given to us here by Felix and expand what we know. While I am obviously doing this more out of personal interest, I'm obviously making the video as an exercise in comprehension and editing, thus combining multiple crafts into a portion of learned knowledge and applied knowledge. If you like the video, let me know down below in the comments. As a heads up, I do not speak fluent or really even any Mandarin at all beyond common phrases, so I would advise caution here, as intent and a designated meaning may be different through translation. But I guess wisdom and insight don't come without risk of lack of understanding. I use a lot of literary references here with the help of AI recommendations to tie more relevant information here together, so that those interested can find other simpler or alternative texts to ponder through. While I could have focused on a particular series, character, or person from history, I wanted to mix in a lot of references to give people an easier approach to learning along the same path. I also use a lot of relevant video clips and art, which are all credited in the description and throughout the video. So with that said, let's dive into some of the concepts of Taoism. The Tao, often translated as the Way, is fundamental force that governs the universe, a force that can mostly be construed as life itself. The Tao is beyond words, beyond human comprehension, and yet it is still present in every aspect of life. The Tao is the rhythm of nature, the flow of time, the unseen order behind apparent chaos. As laozi writes in chapter 1, the Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The Tao is like the wind felt but unseen, whispering through the trees, shaping the world in silence. Like water, shapeless yet powerful, carving canyons over millennia without resistance. It is the stillness of dawn before the world stirs, the effortless flight of birds riding through unseen currents, the unspoken bond between the moon and the tides. It moves all things, connecting the stars in the sky to the roots beneath our feet. And when we align with it, we experience not just harmony, but a profound sense of belonging in the vast, unfolding mystery of existence. In modern times, the Tao reveals itself in moments of digital disconnection, when we put our phones down and step outside, feeling the earth beneath our feet and the vast sky above us. It is found in the quiet of an early morning walk, in the rhythm of deep breathing amid the noise of a crowded city. The Tao whispers in minimalist movements that reject excess and embrace essentialism, in poetry that speaks more in what is unsaid than in the words themselves. While it's true that the Tao in itself embraces the minimalism and simplicities of life, it does not exclude such pleasures of the current modern age. The idea so far, as I understand it, even in today's society, is not to move away from modern living, but to remember to find solace in the silence of the space between heartbeats. The Tao, so far as I can tell, is about finding peace in the chaos and fostering space between you and that chaos that allows you to find the peace. For some, this space can be something simple like meditation or journaling. For others, it's physical exercise, martial arts, bodybuilding, or even just as something as simple as reading. The process for a lot of people is different, but the Tao will guide you into a moment of internal guidance and peace. A good example in modern-day media that explains Taoism are movies like Kung Fu Panda and the show Avatar: The Last Airbender. Consider the haiku of Basho, where a single moment of nature's simplicity conveys an entire world of meaning. An old silent pond. A frog jumps into the pond. Splash. Silence again. In today's age, the splashes of the pond come from all around, especially if you live in the city. So it's important to find the rhythm that is your life and to lean into that rhythm to find peace, a moment of quiet that you can actually recenter yourself in.
Fire! Inner peace, inner peace, inner peace.
One of the more profound teachings of the Tao Te Ching is Wu Wei, often translated as non-action or effortless action. But this doesn't mean doing nothing. Instead, it means flowing with the natural course of things rather than resisting them. In modern life, this can be seen in the practice of mindfulness, allowing thoughts to come and go without clinging to them. This could be further explored on topics like grief and anger. Where we see in modern society people tend to vocalize their anger or fear or even grief, sometimes it's best that we ask questions and wait for life to give us an answer as we continue to move along throughout time. Wu Wei can be found in better examples like creative pursuits, where forcing inspiration often leads to frustration, but allowing ideas to arise naturally results in a true artistic flow. Many poets and writers echo this idea. The poet Rainer Maria Rilke, in Letters to a Young Poet, advises that patience and trust in life's unfolding. Try to love the questions themselves. Live the questions now. Perhaps you will then gradually, without noticing it, live along some distant day into the answer. This sentiment aligns with Wu Wei, embracing the unknown and letting life reveal itself in its own time. Similarly, Master Oogway from Kung Fu Panda imparts a lesson on surrendering to life's natural flow when he says,
Quit, don't quit. Noodles, don't noodles. You are too concerned with what was and what will be. There's a saying. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift. That is why it is called the present.
This wisdom underscores the essence of Wu Wei, to trust in the moment and allow life to unfold as it should, rather than clinging to control. Just as a river carves its path without force, so too can we embrace the unfolding journey of life with patience and grace. In leadership, we see Wu Wei in servant leadership, where the best leaders do not micromanage but instead empower others to act on their own strengths. The Bhagavad Gita, another ancient text, also touches on this principle, teaching that one should act without attachment to the results. You have the right to perform your prescribed duties, but you are not entitled to the fruits of your actions. This perspective focuses from control to trust in the process, making Wu Wei a valuable lesson not just in philosophy but in everyday decision-making and personal growth. This could be pertinent in today's society for many men who struggle with purpose and finding life that matters. Sometimes the work we do is not meant for us but for higher society, to further the goals of the ones we leave behind. By trusting the process in which we do things, we find that a lot of worries we have in the modern age become less relevant because we ensure that others we have taught will take up the mantle to continue the progress of all life. Think of water. It does not force its way forward, yet it carves valleys and nourishes life. Similarly, when we act without force, we move in harmony with the universe. Things unfold effortlessly. This idea is echoed in the works of poets like T.S. Eliot, who wrote in the Four Quartets, "The river is within us, the sea is all about us." This text suggests that by surrendering to the natural rhythm of life, we become a part of something greater. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius also speaks to this principle in his Meditations, advising us to align our actions with nature's flow rather than struggle against it. Whether in personal endeavors, relationships, or creative work, embracing this lesson allows us to experience greater ease and fulfillment. Laozi teaches us that true wisdom lies in simplicity. He warns us against excessive desires and ambition, emphasizing the power of humility and contentment. This idea is reflected in many cultural and literary traditions. The Japanese concept of wabi-sabi embraces the beauty of imperfection and the temporary nature of life, encouraging a deep appreciation for simplicity. In poetry, William Wordsworth's lines written in earlier spring evokes a similar reverence for nature's simplicity and the quiet joy it brings. Likewise, Henry David Thoreau's Walden champions a minimalist life, urging us to strip away the unnecessary and find richness in living deliberately. In modern society, we can see this with the increasing homestead and homeschool movements in America and across the Western world. Sometimes the need to return to something simpler is actually what helps society progress and transcend the need to always be in control of everything. Across cultures and centuries, from Buddhist teachings on detachment to the modern mindfulness movements, Laozi's message endures. True fulfillment is not found in accumulation, but in learning to be at peace with what is. In a world obsessed with more success, more possessions, more recognition, Laozi reminds us the true peace is not found in the relentless pursuit of external validation, but in the quiet mastery of one's own self. The weight of ambition, the hunger for wealth, the thirst for fame often lead to exhaustion, yet those who embrace simplicity find themselves lighter and freer. A grand palace may crumble with time, but the person content in a humble home carries a wealth that cannot be taken away. As Yoda wisely put it,
Train yourself to let go of everything you fear to lose.
the essence of contentment lies in releasing our attachment to status and possessions, finding strength in the stillness of self-awareness rather than the noise of external approval. I think we can also see this reflected even in today's society across the greater content creator and influencer space. Those who seek to flaunt their wealth and intent of control, like Andrew Tate, Jake and Logan Paul, and other creators and influencers like them, tend to seek recognition from the next big thing rather than being happy with the success they've had, whereas people like PewDiePie or the Outdoor Boys channel find solace and pleasantry in simply existing. These last two creators mentioned work hard for the life they want to live and have earned their peace through that hard work and by accepting the journey of life. As Uncle Iroh once said,
Prince Zuko, pride is not the opposite of shame, but its source. True humility is the only antidote to shame.
Uncle Iroh's wisdom here echoes Laozi's teachings. When we release our attachment to pride, status, and possessions, we uncover a deeper strength within ourselves. To resist the chase for external validation is to embrace the quiet power of inner peace. Furthermore, we can also consider Uncle Iroh's other words.
Sometimes life is like this dark tunnel. You can't always see the light at the end of the tunnel, but if you just keep moving, you will come to a better place.
Much like the Tao, life is not about forcing outcomes, but about moving forward with trust. The great treasures are not in gold or accolades, but in the resilience to navigate hardship with grace and emerge stronger. True fulfillment is not found in abundance, but in the ability to find contentment in the simplest of moments. The great poets of the past have echoed this wisdom. Emily Dickinson, for example, lived in near solitude, yet her words expanded the universe for many across American history due to her unique nature of writing. Visionary writers like Ralph Waldo Emerson and Henry David Thoreau walked away from the noise of society to discover the richness of a life well lived. In Walden, Thoreau reminds us, "A man is rich in proportion to the number of things which he can afford to let alone." Verbiage like this speaks to a deeper part of our human nature in which we often forget in today's world. True power lies not in the dominance of others, but in ownership of one's own mind, in the ability to sit in stillness and be unshaken by the chaos of the world. In an era of relentless noise where social media floods our minds with curated lives, electricity keeps our world ever lit, and the external validation dictates self-worth, the ability to detach becomes an act of profound strength. It's not only an act of rebellion, but a call to our innate inner nature to want to find peace and meaning in life. That meaning, ironically, to every extent, can be found by simply living in a more intent-filled manner with simpler schedules. To resist the pull of instant gratification, the hunger for likes and recognition, and the fear of fading into obscurity is to reclaim the self. The monk meditating in solitude, the artist who creates for the love of expression rather than applause, the individual who walks through a crowded street without needing to be seen, these are the ones who have mastered the art of stillness. True peace does not come from the external world, it arises from within, from the quiet certainty that existence itself is enough without the need for approval or acclaim. The Tao Te Ching is full of paradoxes that challenge our conventional thinking. Laozi reminds us that opposites are not in conflict but rather complement each other. Darkness gives meaning to light, silence deepens the impact of sound, and the emptiness makes room for fullness. The poet John Keats spoke of negative capability, the ability to hold contradictory ideas without anxiety. Similarly, the Tao Te Ching teaches us that true strength comes from yielding. In literature, Shakespeare's Hamlet embodies this duality. The prince's hesitation, often seen as weakness, is also his depth of contemplation and wisdom. In modern psychology, Carl Jung's concept of the shadow self reveals that embracing our inner darkness leads to greater wholeness. Even in modern culture, movements like minimalism show us that by embracing less, we gain more clarity and purpose. Contrasted in science, one can also see this play out. Isaac Newton said that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. The paradoxes of life are not contradictions to be solved, but harmonies to be embraced. Through them, we come to understand that softness can be powerful, stillness can be transformative, and letting go can be the ultimate form of control. As Uncle Iroh from The Last Airbender says,
Important to draw wisdom from many different places. If we take it from only one place, it becomes rigid and stale. Understanding others, the other elements, and the other nations will help you become whole.
This echoes the lesson of the Tao Te Ching, that embracing the balance of the opposite leads to true understanding. Likewise, Master Oogway from Kung Fu Panda reminds us,
One often meets his destiny on the road he takes to avoid it.
What Master Oogway is speaking to here emphasizes that resistance to life's flow often leads us right to where we need to be. True strength, then, is found in yielding, adapting, and trusting the rhythm of existence. Consider water again. It is gentle, yet it wears down mountains slowly over time. In life, gentleness, patience, and flexibility often lead to greater strength than force and aggression. This paradox is echoed in the words of Laozi. Nothing in the world is as soft and yielding as water, yet for dissolving the hard and inflexible, nothing can surpass it. We see this truth reflected across culture and time. The Japanese idiom, The bamboo that bends is stronger than the oak that resists, carries the same message. The ability to adapt ensures survival. The poet Jalaluddin Rumi, a prominent Persian poet, once wrote, "Try not to resist the changes that come your way. Instead, let life live through you." Even in modern times, the resilience of peaceful protest, as seen in movements led by figures like Gandhi, demonstrates how nonviolence and patience often overcome brute force. In our daily lives, this lesson can be applied in conflict resolution, where listening and understanding often dismantle anger more effectively than retaliation. You can apply this to relationships where kindness fosters deeper connections, and even in career growth where adaptability often outshines rigid authority. When we embrace the wisdom of water, we find that the softest touch can move the hardest stone, and in yielding, we discover our greatest strength. To quote a modern-day civil rights activist, "It's not about converting, it's about conversing. Understanding comes from dialogue, not debate." Daryl Davis. The Tao Te Ching also offers wisdom on leadership. The best rulers, Laozi says, lead with humility, guiding rather than controlling. True leadership is like a shepherd guiding sheep, by leading from behind, giving space, and allowing natural growth. The greatest leaders do not dominate but empower. We see this in historical figures such as Mahatma Gandhi, who led India to independence through a non-violent resistance, and Nelson Mandela, who embraced reconciliation over revenge. I'm going to butcher this name, but it's a Russian name. Stanislav Yevgrafovich Petrov, a lesser-known man, yet equally significant figure in modern history, made a single decision that prevented nuclear catastrophe by choosing not to react to a false alarm, demonstrating profound wisdom through restraint. Even in everyday life, teachers who nurture curiosity rather than enforce strict discipline, managers who uplift their teams rather than micromanage, and individuals who choose integrity over conformity embody this principle. True leadership is not about control, but about creating an environment where people can flourish on their own. As Uncle Iroh stated,
While it is always best to believe in oneself, a little help from others can be a great blessing.
Iroh, being the great leader that he is, understands that wisdom, much like the Tao, flows through many perspectives, and that the best way to lead is to guide with gentle encouragement rather than force. Just as Iroh taught Zuko patience and introspection rather than pushing him toward power, great leaders inspire growth by fostering an atmosphere where people feel empowered to discover their own strengths. The wisdom of Tao Te Ching is timeless, whispering to us across many, many centuries. Live simply, flow like water, lead with humility. The Tao is not something to be grasped, but something to be lived. To the mind that is still, the whole universe surrenders.